The Evil Within 2 is a bizarre, charming trip that follows almost nothing its predecessor built. The first game had a strong focus on cinematic, gory horror. How does The Evil Within 2 change that though? That leads us to the story. Stepping back in the shoes of Sebastian, I was expecting a meet and greet with clanking and contained movement, a broken cap who can shoot quite well, and a bit of good fisticuffs, and though the gameplay is much an improvement, the story remains similar to the first game. Sebastian, our brilliant protagonist, is still tortured by the violent loss of his daughter. Having escaped the STEM and being on a golden mile is for a reason pulled back to the nightmare domains of STEM. This time though, Sebastian is not stuck within a hospital or an all too similar to Resident Evil 4 setting. In contrast actually, they made a very smart move in the environmental setting. Instead of placing you in a classic hospital or forest or ancient castle, they left you in what looks like a random American country town in the mountains or something like that called Union. And this could have been brilliant had it not been split into floating platforms. And even though some of the moments that come from going from platform to platform are the best in the game, they sure could have been placed elsewhere. It's not my problem that distance reversed, it's just for the sake of craziness and ruins the continuity of the title. It's just not working. The setting as a whole, and especially the first explorable part of town, are perfect. Yes, perfect. The small civilian households you enter and investigate, the back alleys and the locked garages, or even the sheds hold many a secret, and it actually plays in such a way that you want to uncover them. You're aware that resources are scarce, so just the idea of exploring leading to more is enough to set you on the path, due to side quests mostly starting throughout exploration rather than dialogue, which again is a great choice. After entering the STEM and exploring, the story follows Sebastian's quest to find his daughter. In that search, he'll meet a killer, who is also an artist, a self-proclaimed prophet, and other characters and monstrosities along his pathway. What makes the story flow is the villains. While some work brilliant and the motives are clear, all events are dictated by their actions rather than Sebastian's actions till about chapter 12, kind of dropping the excitement you get from the first 5 chapters of the game for a while. The inclusion of avoiding a boss fight or the variety of ways to face another, I liked and gave a fresh breath. It also has some nice plot twists along the way that at the beginning felt like a stretch to me, but came to make more sense than being non-existent at all. In a closing note for the section of the story, simply put, it's a mixture of more classic horror plots with insane monsters and different voids and just a plethora of reasons to survive, but an emphasis on that by crafting an actual story for Sebastian. The game's visuals range from impressive to dull to very atmospheric. The dull environments, you guessed it, are the ruined labs and some of the dreamscapes. The dreamscapes can be both of the impressive and the dull sections, but the ruined labs and underground collapsed army tunnels are dull. We've seen them before, we know them, we don't want them no more. It's simple and honest. No more hospitals or labs in our horror game. But the graphics of the game can shine and be grand at times, while at others the graphics are just plain good. The film grain and cinematic borders have been removed, so if someone didn't like that, hey, here's a chance to give The Evil Within 2 another shot. The color palette used here is of vibrant colors stripped of life, and that's quite interesting. I love the very blue sky and the art house red and pink and yellow combining with more dead and empty colors. Well done there. As for performance, it ran smooth and that's all there is to it. No major bugs were encountered. I was lucky, I guess. Now, let's move to the sounds and the soundtrack. I can't say the sounds are bad in the game, but they are memorable. Like the creature shrieks, we've heard them a million times before, but here they are being annoying again. I can only think of one major exception, and that exception was horrifying. Footsteps and environmental sounds are better. The muffle coming from the gas masks I like a lot. It was genuinely well woven in the game and I enjoyed this. The soundtrack is good, at moments it really caught me, but I can't say I'll ever remember it. Voice work, on the other hand, with Mount missing, came a bit weird at the beginning and took some getting used to, but eventually played out all fine, at least as far as it goes to the main characters. The few side NPCs can be passable to unbearable with a few exceptions. A big amount of the game is set on our survival, so before we go to shooting and action stuff, let's observe the core that binds for the moment. There was not a strong emphasis on survival in the first title. It was more focused on your ability to manage stamina, to escape and be a good shot. Here it's all reverted. You can plow through the game with minimal running actually. I mean sure, in later levels it will come to play, but not for the first 8 to 10 hours. The focus is leaning towards survival aspects, especially in the higher difficulties. Survival here isn't implemented in the way of hunger or exhaustion meters or something of the like. It's bullets management, stamina control and stealth efficiency. To survive, avoiding unnecessary combat is key, and I like that. Staying away from fighting with stealth is always nice. And don't get this wrong, there's a lot of fighting, but not as much as you might have expected. The stealth mechanics were great, and some skills you can unlock later really provide you your silent arsenal. Actually, the majority of the skills are quite helpful. Getting green gel from enemies isn't scarce either. In addition, weapon pads are used to further upgrade weapons, and their upgrades are useful as well. Now, Sebastian will come face to face with some different foes throughout his journey, and even though simpler enemies do change, aside the flamethrowers, it's not really a big deal. Now, the more action-oriented moments of the game were great, and even though I preferred stealth, I really liked going in guns blazing every now and then, just to change the pace. Sebastian is for a change a good shot, this time around on his own. He can get a slow-mo skill, and even a silenced handgun. In general, enemies can be a challenge, especially at the beginning or when on the higher difficulties, but it's rare to face something really difficult or something a few simple shotgun bullets can't bring down. The boss fights here are mostly great, but it's more because of the environment rather than the fight itself. The scavenge hunt for items actually was a route I really liked. Go out, search for equipment, return, craft, proceed. You can craft items on the fly as well, but it takes more of your rare resources. All in all, the gameplay is refined and works well, so I was glad. So this was my review for The Evil Within 2. In conclusion, it's a really good game, but it's held down by some design choices that really split it in two. Aside that, it's both a better follow-up and even a good starting point for those who either disliked or didn't even touch the first one. So, I'm suggesting The Evil Within 2 to players who really enjoy horror games, those who want to give it a shot, or those who think it looks beautiful and artistic, because it really is.